Thousands of PlayStation 4 and PC players have battled with and dressed up the adorable, little jellybean-like characters in the massive multiplayer battle royale game known as Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout since it debuted on August. Age is just a number for celebs, unless it comes to landing jobs when you're a woman creeping into the latter half of her 30s. The red carpet doesn't discriminate in the romance department, and young stars have notoriously shacked up with men old enough to be their fathers. The age-old trope of a middle-aged movie star dating a young, pretty blonde is older than the aging celebrities who make it a cliché, but are these relationships actually meant to last? For many, ultra-young wives are a second, third, fourth, or eighth try at love. Sorry, Larry King. 4. In Fall Guys, up to 60 players frantically maneuver around, under, over, in, on, through, and off of various obstacles to reach the finish line over the course of numerous rounds. Celebs such as Steve Martin and Michael Douglas have formed tight-knit relationships with their younger spouses, while other young stars, such as Amber Heard, have struggled to deal with the dynamics of a partner in another peer group. There's only one thing the relationships in this story all have in common: all these men married women young enough to be their daughters. Clint Eastwood and Dina Ruiz. Clint and Dina Eastwood, formerly Ruiz, had a really long run, 17 years to be exact. The chaotic nature of the title was so compelling it attracted 1.5 million players within 24 hours of launching. The couple wed in 1996 and hid from the Hollywood spotlight in the seaside town of Carmel, Caliph. Somewhere along the line, their 35-year age difference may have gotten the best of them, because according to People, a fundamental difference in values prompted the couple to call it quits. Eastwood, who was 65 at the time of his second wedding in 1996, is notoriously private. The all-out struggle even extended into the real world. This was reportedly at odds with Dina's reality show, Mrs. Eastwood and Company, which raked in an average of 1 million viewers per episode. Big-name companies and streamers, including G2 Esports, Ninja, and Mr. Beast, duked it out for the chance to bring their own themed skins to the game as part of the Battle of the Brands bidding contest. The combined $1 million donation from the winners went to Special Effect, a physical disabilities charity. Despite its bright color palette and cartoonish design, Fall Guys still contains double entendres and references geared towards an older audience. With 25 different rounds spanning 5 modes, more than 80 costumes, nearly 40 achievements or trophies to earn, and regular updates, there's a lot to take in. Here are a few details in Fall Guys only adult players would pick up on. Playing to the death. Pretty much every aspect of Fall Guys alludes to death in some way. Each round takes place on a flying course that is quite high off the ground, so high, in fact, it's safe to assume any normal person who fell from such a height would die immediately upon impact. Eastwood occasionally appeared on the show, which also featured his daughters, Morgan and Francesca Eastwood, but he was reportedly furious that Dina put the kids on TV. Halfway through the first season, Clint reportedly stopped wearing his wedding ring, and the couple allegedly moved into separate rooms in their home. During this rough patch, Dina reportedly turned to high school friend Scott Fisher for emotional support. Fearing their relationship wasn't platonic, Erica Fisher, Scott's wife, reached out to Clint. If not before, Erica and Clint sparked a romance, and Dina went to rehab for a broken heart, or so say some sources. In the following months, Dina hooked up with Scott and eventually married him in 2016. Basically, the Eastwoods and Fishers played out a really dramatic episode of wife swap. Doug Hutchison and Courtney Stodden. Courtney Stodden is one of those celebs whose career is perplexing. But there's one specific example that really drives the final nail into the coffin. At the end of each round, every character appears in their own square space on a vertical platform. The former beauty pageant queen is seemingly famous for being famous, or maybe she's famous because she married middle-aged Lost actor Doug Hutchison when she was just 16 years old and he was 51. They share a whopping 35-year age gap. The losers then suddenly fall from their spot, presumably to their deaths. Stodden's unconventional marriage led her to reality fame on shows including Couples Therapy and Celebrity Big Brother. This is eerily similar to an ancient sport popularized by Mesoamericans in 300 to 900 CE and given the highly deceptive name, ball game. Given how it was played, a more accurate name for ball game would be sacrifice game, since the captain of the losing team, and sometimes every player, were sacrificed to the gods. Her relationship has also been tabloid fodder, especially when you consider the fact that her parents had to co-sign on her nuptials since she was legally too young to consent. Stodden proceeded to give the nation heebie-jeebies by regularly sharing uncomfortable tidbits about their controversial union, including calling the then 51-year-old a tiger in bed. Luckily for the losers in Fall Guys, it is assumed that the characters only fall to their deaths. Following their disastrous split in 2017, Stodden momentarily issued a public Instagram plea begging Hutchison to take her back, but then allegedly changed her mind again. They were married for a short 6 years, but to be totally fair, that was a huge chunk of Stodden's young life. In 2017, her mother allegedly admitted the union was a total mistake. Ancient art depicts the losers of Ball Game being decapitated, used as balls, and rolled down flights of stairs. Is that quincunx? At the end of each round, the losers in Fall Guys fall from a vertical platform. It was a few years too late, but what do you expect from the woman who allegedly had an emotional affair with her daughter's husband? Rod Stewart and Penny Lancaster. Despite their 26-year age difference, Rod Stewart and Penny Lancaster truly seem like the real deal. Near the bottom of the screen are pegs onto which the falling Fall Guys, fall. These pegs are positioned in a way that looks similar to quincunx, a board arrangement where balls are dropped down on pegs and bounce their way down to the bottom of the board into various containers. In quincunx, the balls bounce either left or right, while the losers in Fall Guys can also bounce upwards before falling back down. But that's neither here nor there. In 2017, the Lovebirds celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary by renewing their vows in a quaint ceremony at their 45-acre Essex home. They were joined by their 2 sons, as well as 5 of Stewart's children from other relationships. Though the ceremony was joyful, that's not to say the couple hasn't had tough times throughout their decade-long marriage. There was that time Lancaster mourned the tragic death of her Louboutin wedding shoes after she snapped a heel in Paris. What is here, or there, is that when the quincunx pegs are positioned in a way that will provide an equal chance for the balls to bounce left or right, then the balls will always fall into bell-shaped curve formation. Even though Fall Guys doesn't show the bottom of this supposed quincunx, it's interesting that it could very well be one. Where are the Fall Gals? The gaming industry, and, to be fair, every industry, needs to ensure women receive equal treatment and representation, so when there's a title like Fall Guys, red flags might go up. Of course, the name is catchy and apt, seeing as there is a lot of falling that goes on in the game. You could also argue it's better than the original title, Fool's Gauntlet. But there are so many words in the English language that could have been used to give the game a more neutral title. Additionally, upon closer inspection of the original Fall Guys roster, you might notice the absence of actual female characters. Stewart also made Lancaster eat at Subway on one occasion, despite his estimated $235 million net worth. Sure, you could argue the characters are androgynous, but Fall Guys features various male character costumes from other games, such as Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. There don't appear to be any female crossover costumes in Season 1. That said, it looks like more feminine costumes will arrive with Season 2, including a green-haired witch with a cute skull embroidered on her pointy hat and a Viking warrior maiden, complete with a horned helmet. If she was willing to endure a $5 footlong for her man, then you know it's meant to last. Most importantly, Lancaster, who had a brief stint on Strictly Come Dancing, helped Stewart reach a major life milestone. At the age of 66, he became a father for the 8th time. According to reports, he's the kind of dad who picks his kids up from school in a Ferrari. Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva. Richard Gere, the Pretty Woman legend, and Alejandra Silva, a gorgeous Spanish activist and publicist, secretly wed in a 2018 civil ceremony. It's also important to note the game designers put a great amount of effort into how the characters would look from the get-go, a design that went through many changes until finally becoming the adorable little bean-like figures they are today. The physics checks out. Characters in Fall Guys must traverse many types of stationary and moving obstacles, and the ways in which players can interact with and be affected by these obstacles are seemingly endless. In other words, there is a lot of physics involved. The host of the Action Lab channel on YouTube thought so, too, and wanted to check the accuracy of the physics personally and recorded himself testing certain stunts that happen in the game.
Gere was 68 and Silva was 35, but those decades didn't make much of a difference for the couple who'd been dating since 2014. This marriage is Gere's third and Silva's second, so it's understandable they'd want to keep the ceremony under wraps. Word on the street is they plan to celebrate their nuptials with family and friends at a later date in New York. "I have found the quiet and happy life that I have always sought," Gere told Hola. Via Us Weekly. Silva has a son, Albert Friedland, from her previous married to mining industry bigwig Gavin Friedland from 2012 to 2015. Specifically, he was curious about what actually happens when you move with a walkway and jump off, move against a walkway and jump off, stand on a spinning obstacle and jump off, and, of course, fall. When testing both walkway stunts, the host uses a treadmill marked with red tape for reference. Meanwhile, he tests the spinning walkway stunt on a roundabout at a playground with a kid in the background looking confused, and the fall stunt at an indoor skydiving facility. Gere has a son, Homer, with his second wife, actress Carey Lowell. Eddie Murphy and Paige Butcher. As of this writing, legendary funnyman Eddie Murphy and Australian model and actress Paige Butcher, who is 18 years younger than him, aren't married yet. However, the couple started dating in 2012, got engaged in 2018, and welcomed a son that December. And, yes, the physics check out for each stunt, though, it sounds like he only gave the fall mechanics a passing grade. You can score after successful bouts of chasing tail. Many of the rounds in Fall Guys are incredibly fun and creative, but a select few are a bit, well, steamy. The bouncing baby boy was Butcher's second with Murphy, and Murphy's 10th. Yes, you read that right. The Shrek star has 8 other kids with 4 other women, which should go a long way in answering the question, why isn't Eddie Murphy in more movies? The guy's been busy. Of his large brood, Murphy told Entertainment Tonight, "The brightest part of my life is my kids." Take, for example, tail tag. The name sounds harmless enough, but the point is to go after players who have what look like raccoon tails and grab them. My world revolves around them, even the old, gray bald ones. The feeling is apparently mutual, at least, according to a source close to the couple, who told People, they are all about family. Paige is very close with Eddie's kids. The players who still have a tail when the timer goes off win. So, in other words, you are literally chasing tail. They vacation and spend holidays together. Paige loves being a mom and is very involved. Of course, it's great that Butcher and Murphy's kids from other relationships get along so well, but we have to wonder how awkward it was when everyone realized she was 9 years old when Murphy's oldest son Eric was born. William Shatner and Elizabeth Martin. Star Trek star William Shatner has endured a rather dark love life. Those who are familiar with the idiom, chasing tail, will make this connection immediately. For those innocent enough to have never heard this euphemism before, the most kid-friendly translation involves a man pursuing women. It's pretty clear what pursuing means in this context. He's been married 4 times, but his third wife, Narian Kidd, tragically drowned in the couple's swimming pool in 1999 after battling alcohol addiction. According to the Daily Mail, Shatner learned the magnitude of Kidd's alcohol problem hours after their wedding. Though she reportedly promised him sobriety when they tied the knot, she was allegedly drunk the morning after their reception. The fact that players must not only chase other players with tails but physically grab these tails makes this image even more intense. They were married just 2 years before she passed away. Speaking of intense, there's a team version of this round that involves groups chasing tail together. Wow. Congrats, you're a bully. As if being crowned champion and having bragging rights weren't enough, Fall Guys further incentivizes players to compete for the championship by rewarding them with trophies and achievements upon the completion of particular tasks. One such achievement is unlocked when a player knocks another over. Shatner did manage to recover from that tragedy, undoubtedly with the love and support of horse trainer Elizabeth Shatner, formerly Martin, who was also a widow. They wed in 2001, when she was 42 and he was 69. I was attracted by her beauty first of all, which was an old syndrome for me, he told The Guardian. On its own, this does not seem extreme at all, especially in the gaming world where there are far worse things that characters can do to each other. But the actual achievement is called Big Bully.
In other words, you can unlock an achievement for not only exhibiting bullish behavior, but for actually being what the game refers to as a bully, and not just any bully, but a big bully. This might seem harmless to most. But adults understand that bullying is a particularly troubling form of aggressive behavior that can lead to some horrific outcomes, including mental health disorders, substance abuse and suicide. And I think I lucked out because she had so many other qualities as well. Larry King and Sean Southwick. Larry King knows his way around a marriage. The fact that Fall Guys rewards players for this behavior raises some questions. Fall ball resembles a real-life game that used giant balls. The whimsical nature of rounds like fall ball, which involves teams working together to score on the opposing goal with giant soccer balls, might seem like yet another example of an over-the-top competition that never took place in the real world, but that's not true. The late-night TV host has been married 8 times, and it sounds like his marriage to Shawn Southwick, who's young enough to be his daughter, may be as troubled as the rest. In 2016, rumors emerged that Southwick, who's 26 years younger than the TV host, had been carrying on a year-long affair with public speaking guru Richard Green. King brushed off the rumors in public, but behind the scenes, he was allegedly torn about whether or not to stay with his wife of 19 years. The couple was allegedly sleeping in separate bedrooms, and family members were reportedly pressuring King to end it. Rumors even floated around claiming King agreed to have an open marriage. This isn't the first time King and Southwick's union has been the target of the tabloids. Incredibly, a man by the name of Moses G. Crane thought games like football were, to the average person without a college education, incomprehensible, dull, cruel, and came up with a game called pushball in the second half of the 19th century that is, arguably, much similar. Basically, pushball used a ball that had to be so massive that a player on one side could not see who was on the other. The first public game of pushball took place in 1902 and featured a ball constructed from so many horse hides that the sheer size of it took nearly 3 hours to fully inflate using a pump with special modifications. According to People, they filed for divorce in 2010, but reconciled 3 months later. Despite all this, the couple has looked pretty happy on the red carpet in recent years, so perhaps all this bad press is much ado about nothing. In fact, King has even joked about their highly publicized age. For anyone who wants to make a similarly sized ball using the same materials, you will need 9 horse hides. Though, maybe you should stick to Fall Guys instead. The theme song from the Fall Guys launch trailer may sound familiar. The official Fall Guys launch trailer tells the inspiring story of an underdog who begins his career stumbling and falling more so than winning, while a more experienced and better-dressed character taunts him relentlessly. During all of this, an old-timey song with lyrics such as "Hot Diggity" and "Dog Ziggity Boom" plays in the background. When people look at Shawn and me, the first thing they notice is the age difference, he told a crowd at a Vegas casino in 2010. But I'm here to say, if she dies, she dies. However, King officially filed for divorce from Southwick again in August 2019. Steve Martin and Anne Stringfield. Funnyman Steve Martin married former New Yorker staff writer Anne Stringfield in a private ceremony in 2007. Adults will know immediately that the soundtrack comes from the hit 1940s song Hot Diggity by Perry Como, and individual Bing Crosby reportedly dubbed the man who invented casual. The song choice might not make sense at first, seeing as it's obviously a love song. Though Stringfield is 26 years younger than the Saturday Night Live star, that didn't stop them from starting a family. But as the trailer continues playing, it becomes apparent that the character in the movie is in love with the need to compete. Martin became a first-time father to a baby girl at the age of 67 in 2012, Stringfield was 41. Martin said he felt like this was the perfect time to have kids because he would have been a bit too selfish about his career if it had happened earlier in life. "Oh, it's fantastic, you have all the time in the world," he later told the Daily Telegraph via Vanity Fair. And to win. From Donkey Kong to cannons. In this case, Donkey Kong does not refer to the Donkey Kong Country series that thrust the titular character into the limelight, but the 1981 arcade game where the giant gorilla actually made his debut as a villain. You're all set and secure in life, and you're not building your career, so you have a lot of time.
Kelsey Grammer and Katie Walsh. Katie Walsh may not be proud of the way her marriage to Frasier star Kelsey Grammer began, because it reportedly had a role in ending his 13-year marriage to TV personality Camille Grammer. Kelsey and Camille's marriage was far from private. It played out on cable TV during the first season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Camille admitted to ABC News that she felt like her whole life was falling apart, because Kelsey was allegedly having an affair with another woman. That woman was apparently Walsh. They got married in 2011, just 2 weeks after he finalized his divorce from Camille. Walsh was just 29 years old, while Kelsey was 55 at the time. Camille slammed her ex for his younger wife, claiming, "He changes marriages like he changes characters, for movies or shows." Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. At one time, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's relationship was the type of PR movie studios dream about. If that isn't strange enough, His arch-nemesis is a character called Jumpman who would later have a name that you might have heard of before, Mario. The problem? Donkey Kong has captured Jumpman's girlfriend. To get her back, Jumpman must ascend various construction sites to the top where the then evil gorilla waits. But in this case, waiting means throwing various objects, such as fireballs and barrels. What does this have to do with Fall Guys? A round called Fall Mountain is quite similar to the entire premise of Donkey Kong. And, no, there isn't an evil gorilla who will later have a change of heart but is now throwing random objects down a construction site to prevent a soon-to-be famous character from reaching the top. In Fall Mountain, there are a bunch of characters who are racing up a mountain while cannons fire random objects from above. The couple fell in love on the set of The Rum Diaries, where Depp played a journalist obsessed with Heard's free-spirited young character. And rather than saving a girlfriend, the characters are competing for a crown. The Blob continues to influence pop culture as the creators of Fall Guys revealed. Fall Guys was based on ridiculous game shows such as Takeshi's Castle and Total Wipeout. Like all ludicrous game shows, there is usually some sort of slime involved, whether it falls on you, you fall in it, or a combination of the two. Fall Guys is no exception. But one of the many rounds that incorporates slime adds another ingredient to this already slimy image. Slime Climb, which involves outrunning rising slime to the finish line, plays upon a popular theme in film where people run away from slime-like creatures. Despite their 22-year age difference, the actors began dating in 2012, and Depp was showing off his engagement ring and talking about having 100 kids by 2014. The couple wed in 2015, when he was 51 and his bride was 28. But this seemingly rosy love story had a dark side. Probably the best example of this is the 1950s movie, The Blob, which revolves around an alien entity that looks like, well, a blob that devours and dissolves its prey. Even though there's nothing to suggest that the slime in Fall Guys possesses any form of intelligent life, it's hard for anyone familiar with the Blob to not think of the rising slime as an angry alien. A text message conversation obtained by Entertainment Tonight indicated that the relationship may have turned abusive as early as 2014. What followed was a nasty divorce and some terrifying video footage of Depp's violent outbursts, followed by a $7 million settlement that Heard donated to charity and a joint statement that seemed a little off considering all the accusations that preceded it. Our relationship was intensely passionate and at times volatile, but always bound by love, the statement said. Fortunately, they did not have 100 kids to fight over in court. Anthony Bourdain and Octavia Butcher. The late parts unknown host Anthony Bourdain certainly had a type: strong, talented, and young. Bourdain's second wife, Octavia Butcher, was 22 years his junior, and their relationship was anything but conventional. According to People, the MMA fighter abruptly moved to America with just $300 in her pocket and worked her way up in NYC's restaurant scene. From the moment she chowed down on a lobster during her first date with the celebrity chef, he was completely enamored. Within a few dates, they had matching chef's knife tattoos. Over the course of 2 weeks in 2007, Bourdain was divorced from his first wife, he and Octavia were married, and he became a father, to he and Bush's daughter, Ariane. Initially, it seemed age wasn't an issue for two people with so much in common. We used to meet after my shift was over and we would stay up for hours drinking beers, talking about my day at work. Anybody else would have been bored to death, or horrified, but for him it was enjoyable, she told Married to a Chef in 2011. But unfortunately, Butcher struggled with Bourdain's fame and admitted that she hated being on TV. Instead of traveling with him during filming, she focused on MMA training at Renzo Gracie Academy. The couple reportedly grew apart and eventually split after 9 years of marriage. Bourdain passed away in June 2018. At the time, he was dating Italian actress Asia Argento, who was 19 years younger than the chef. Alan Ferguson and Solange. Let's face it, Solange Knowles' music career exists in Beyoncé's shadow. But there's one arena where Solange has Beyoncé beat: marrying older dudes. Queen Bey, of course, is married to Jay-Z, who is 12 years older than her. But Solange bested that May to December age gap when she hooked up with music video director Alan Ferguson, who is 23 years her senior. For those who struggle with math, that's double digits over Bey. Is that even legal? It didn't matter to Solange, who was so crazy in love with Alan that they tied the knot in New Orleans in 2014, when she was 28 and he was 51. Part of Solange's attraction to her much older beau could be attributed to her previous marriage. According to Harper's Bazaar, she wed her high school sweetheart after becoming pregnant with his child when she was 17. They divorced in 2006, but the experience left Solange feeling, emotionally and mentally, far older. Perhaps that's also why Solange didn't hesitate to go for Allen after the pair was introduced by rocker Pete Wentz and R&B star Janelle Monáe. "I have always sort of historically been one of those girls that goes after something that I'm into," Solange told interviewer Bianca Golden. "I'm not very old school. Like, I'm gonna wait on you. Wait for you to approach me type of situation. Dang. Who run the world?" Rupert Murdoch and Jerry Hall. Vanity Fair once named billionaire Rupert Murdoch the greatest romantic of our time, and that very well may be true. In 2016, the News Corp mogul announced that he'd be walking down the aisle for the fourth time at the age of 84. It really never is too late to find love. Murdoch's woman of choice was supermodel turned rock star muse Jerry Hall, who famously wed the Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger in a controversial Balinese ceremony in 1990. Murdoch popped the question to the then 59-year-old model after just 4 months of dating. "Why waste any time when you're an octogenarian?" The pair tied the knot at Princess Diana's townhouse in central London, and despite Murdoch's riches, the couple reportedly kept it casual. Hall didn't wear white, opting instead for a blue, below-the-knee skirt. Her 20-carat engagement ring was the icing on the cake. It's unclear how many women who dated Jagger would find common ground with the same person who owns The Wall Street Journal, especially considering the enormous age gap. Regardless, theirs must be a pretty happy union because Murdoch closed out his Twitter account with the wedding news and pledged to never tweet again. Nicolas Cage and Alice Kim. Nicolas Cage has been known for a few half-hearted attempts at stealing the Declaration of Independence, but he's also known for dating a woman young enough to be his daughter. Though his previous wives, Lisa Marie Presley and Patricia Arquette, are close to the national treasure star in age, his third wife, Alice Kim, is 2 decades his junior. According to Today, Cage met Kim, a sushi waitress, at the Los Angeles restaurant where she worked. The romance was a whirlwind, perhaps as urgent as Gone in 60 Seconds or any other of Cage's suspenseful cinematic adventures. They got engaged after 2 short months and wed in 2004, when he was 40 and she was 20. Alas, things eventually went south. After 11 years of marriage, which we can only assume was tested by so many action movie premieres that they started blending together, Kim reportedly split from her movie star beau. Despite the breakup, Cage never gave up on love, just like he'll never give up on saving the world. Rumor has it, the actor has attempted to pick up more women at sushi restaurants around Los Angeles. As they say, there's plenty of sashimi in the sea. Kevin Costner and Christine Baumgartner. Kevin Costner's second wife, Christine Baumgartner, may be nearly 20 years younger than the star, but Costner was reportedly willing to do anything to make it work, even if that meant being a stay-at-home dad. A 49-year-old Costner wed his 30-year-old flame in a private ceremony at his home in Aspen, Colo. In 2004. 6 years later, the star found himself taking an extended break from Hollywood to help raise their 3 babies. Costner admitted to The Telegraph that he had doubts about growing his family so late in life. He was 55 years old by the time his youngest was born, but he was also at a place in his career where he could pick and choose his roles. Now, he says he only takes the projects he really wants and spends the rest of his time and energy on his family.
"I see my children making steps every day, and the one thing I pray for in life is not success but being able to raise my children and that nothing happens to me in the next 20 years, he explained. "I want it to be me who tells them about the secrets, the beauty, the treachery and everything that is in life. I don't want them to learn from someone else." Hugh Hefner and Crystal Harris. It's surprising to think that the late great Hugh Hefner ever settled down. Before his passing at the old age of 91, the Playboy founder claimed to have slept with more than 1,000 women, but as he aged, his taste in women did not. Hef's relationship with Playboy bunny turned realty personality Holly Madison practically defined the early aughts. Though Madison may have been vying for marriage when she moved into the mansion at age 22, they split after 7 years. The media mogul was devastated, admitting, "I expected to spend the rest of my life with her." He claimed their relationship was strained when he couldn't provide her with children. However, Hefner did manage to find love again. After briefly dating a 19-year-old set of twins, he met his third wife, Crystal Harris. She was 24 years old at the time of their engagement, a whopping 60 years his junior. Despite the fact that Harris was young enough to be Hef's granddaughter and called off their initial engagement, the couple appeared to be truly in love once they finally tied the knot. Hef told the press that he saved the best till last. Just days after the notorious Ladies man was laid to rest, Harris told People, "He changed my life, he saved my life." And before you assume the 20-something was in it for the money, an ironclad prenup reportedly prevented Harris from inheriting much of the Playboy fortune. Vincent Cassel and Tina Kunicki. French actor Vincent Cassel was married to Italian bombshell Monica Bellucci for 14 years before their divorce in 2013. The international superstars are 2 years apart in age. Cassel eventually rebounded with Tina Kunicki, a French model who was born when he was 30 years old, and just 8 years ahead of the birth of his first daughter with Bellucci. Cassel and Kunicki wed in August 2018, but not before Cassel offered some eyebrow-raising thoughts on the dynamics of their age gap. Speaking with the New York Times a few weeks before his second nuptials, Cassel opined, "At any age, men have this ability to start a new life. Women do not. Yeesh. But wait, there's more. It's not always fair," he continued. "I'm 52, and I'm getting married with a 21-year-old girl. I'm very much in love and sure we are going to make babies. Super." The Times interview wasn't Cassel's first expression on the disparity of the sexes, and how men have the ability to reinvent themselves again and again. Speaking with The Telegraph in 2016, Cassel said that most women are looking for security while men look for adventure. He then quoted what he described as a popular French saying, "En avoir que la bite et le couteau," which he roughly translated as, "to go around the world with your d***k and a knife." Here's hoping he left that out of his wedding toast. David Foster and Catherine McPhee. David Foster and Catherine McPhee share a 35-year age difference, but this couple's love was practically written in the stars, or in the very least, written in reality TV. According to People, McPhee first met Foster on the set of American Idol when she was a contestant in 2006. Despite the fact that he's racked up 16 Grammys in his career as a producer, the future starlet had no idea who he was when he served as her mentor. It wasn't love at first sight for him, either. "She didn't catch my eye on the first day because I was so busy trying to do my job," he told People. But the reality is that in the last 12 years I've always had a connection with her. McPhee is actually about 2 years younger than Foster's daughter Erin, who commented "Mommy" on their Instagram engagement announcement via Us Weekly. Though the couple announced their engagement in the summer of 2018 and tied the knot in June 2019, this is hardly the pair's first rodeo. Foster has 4 ex-wives, and weirdly enough, already saw McPhee as a blushing bride. According to People, the Grammy winner played piano at her 2008 wedding to Nick Koka's Bob Saget and Kelly Rizzo. Bob Saget's house got a little fuller. According to People, the sitcom Dad tied the knot with TV host Kelly Rizzo in October 2018. The pair share a 23-year age gap, and though Saget can claim a senior discount at more than a few restaurants, that doesn't mean he can't party hard. Actor Jonathan Silverman officiated the ceremony, which ultimately led to a huge dance party later on at the reception. It even included a serenade from John Mayer, who is somehow the comedian's very close friend despite the fact that he's young enough to be his son.
Saget's Fuller House co-stars, including Dave Coulier and John Stamos, were reportedly in attendance, and there's no word on if the best man's speech escalated into the aristocrats, but we're guessing and hoping not. Despite the massive party that was Saget's wedding, the proposal was far more ho-hum. "We were watching Stranger Things on the iPad," Saget told People. "And then I got up to go to the restroom, and I opened the safe and I took out a ring that I had been hiding for 4 days and I got on one knee. And she said, 'What are you doing?' And she got very emotional and so did I. That's one serious Netflix and chill. Tinder dates everywhere are sweating just thinking about the commitment." David Hasselhoff and Haley Roberts. David Hasselhoff was taking things slow with his younger beauty, Haley Roberts. According to The Sun, it took 7 years for the Hoff to pop the question to the Debenham store clerk turned model. Why the wait? The age difference was apparently a major factor. Hasselhoff is nearly 28 years older than Roberts. The Baywatch star reportedly opened up about the age gap in 2015. "To be honest, the reason I haven't got married yet is because I know it's not going to be a perfect relationship. We're not going to grow old together, let's face it," he reportedly said via The Sun. Sometimes I think I love her enough to say, go and find a man of your age and have a life." According to the Daily Mail, Roberts also had her reservations about the age gap, but the Hoff's charms were more than enough to overcome her reservations. "David acts so much younger, he doesn't see his age," Roberts told OK! Magazine via the Daily Mail. "I'm probably older than my years. I don't feel like he's that much older than me." The pair tied the knot in a small Italian ceremony in July 2018. The Hoff's 2 daughters from a previous marriage, Taylor and Haley, were reportedly part of the ceremony. David Schwimmer and Zoe Buckman. Celeb David Schwimmer's TV characters have not exactly been painted as ladies' men, and that might actually be true in real life. Schwimmer got married for the first time when he was 43 years old. His girlfriend, British photographer Zoe Buckman, was just 25. In some ways, Schwimmer and Buckman's romance was similar to that infamous TV romance of Ross and Rachel on Friends. Buckman was reportedly waitressing at a club in London's West End, and Schwimmer was a customer. She later moved to Los Angeles in order to be with her beau, and they eventually got married in a secret wedding ceremony. Schwimmer may have found his real-life Rachel, but it allegedly caused some drama with co-star Jennifer Aniston. Apparently Schwimmer ended his friendship with Aniston after she went on national TV and said she didn't know who Schwimmer was planning to marry. According to the Daily Mail, an insider claimed, David was not impressed. He has been with Zoe for a couple of years and was offended Jen couldn't remember her. Sadly, Schwimmer and Buckman called it quits in 2017. Jerry Seinfeld and Jessica Sklar. According to a 2007 interview with The New York Times, Jessica Sklar met legendary comedian Jerry Seinfeld at a gym in New York City in 1998. Despite their 20-year age difference, the pair hit it off. There was only one problem. Sklar was about to get married to theatrical producer Eric Nederlander. Shortly after their honeymoon, Sklar left her husband for Seinfeld. "I was manipulated, misled and completely caught off guard by Jessica's infidelity," Nederlander told the New York Post in 1998 before filing for divorce per People. "Jerry and Jessica have no respect for decent values. They deserve each other. Allegedly cheating with your new husband might not be the best way to start a relationship, but it appears to have worked out for Sklar and Seinfeld." The couple, married in 1999, have been together ever since, and share 3 children. "From the day I met her, that was really our connection," Seinfeld told Closer Weekly in 2019. "We always have fun and we laugh and she's got a great sense of humor. She's very quick and sarcastic and all the qualities that I like. She's very sharp. She catches all the wrongness." Sylvester Stallone and Jennifer Flavin. In 1988, Sylvester Stallone, who was 42 years old at the time, met 19-year-old model Jennifer Flavin at a restaurant in Beverly Hills. Flash forward to 2019, and the couple have been married for 22 years and share 3 daughters. Although Stallone is known for his 80s action star machismo and testosterone-filled movies, it's a totally different story at home. Everything in the house is female. The toys, the housekeeper, all the dogs. The one dog I have that's male is neutered. I'm next, he told The Telegraph in 2010 via Yahoo Entertainment. But I've never had more fun. I learnt that from my wife. It took me 19 years to realize she's always right.
The Rocky star continued, "I realize that women have a knack, at least Jennifer, for making incredibly erudite, wise, smart decisions. I always leap without looking. She always looks and never leaps. She's incredibly safe." Stallone added, "So now finally, I say, honey, you make all the decisions. Done, done, done. I trust you. I never had that before. Ever." Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall's love story literally inspired song lyrics and has long been dubbed Hollywood's greatest romance. The couple first met when Bacall was just 19 and Bogart was 44. They married a year later in 1945, and enjoyed a 13-year marriage until the legendary Casablanca star sadly died of esophageal cancer in 1957. The old Hollywood icons made 4 films together during their marital union, and the chemistry between them was palpable to anyone watching. Film historian Leonard Maltin told Vanity Fair that their relationship was one of these instances where it's quite possible that we are eyewitnesses to an actor or actress falling in love, and while good actors make us believe that all the time, there has to be some extra kick when it's real. A widow at just 32 years old, Bacall later had a brief marriage with actor Jason Robards and a fling with Kirk Douglas, but she never forgot her first and only true love. All the men were mistakes, she once reportedly uttered during an interview via Medium. Except for Bogart. Robert Duvall and Luciana Pedraza. You might want to sit down for this one. Are you sitting down? Okay, good. Robert Duvall's wife, Luciana Pedraza, was born in the same year the Godfather actor celebrated his, wait for it, 41st birthday. You read that right. Duvall and Pedraza have a whopping 41-year age difference between them. The couple married in 2005, and it appears fate brought them together. I met my wife in Argentina, Duvall told Esquire in 2010. The flower shop was closed, so I went to the bakery. If the flower shop had been open, I never would have met her. At first, he was hesitant to be with a much younger woman, so he turned to his old friend and fellow actor Wilford Brimley for advice. Brimley's words of wisdom? Let me tell you something, my friend, the worst thing in the world for an old man is an old woman. Okay, then. Warren Beatty and Annette Bening. Silver screen icons Warren Beatty and Annette Bening have been married since 1992. Despite their 21-year age difference, sparks flew when they met during a production meeting for the 1991 film Bugsy. I remember losing interest in the garlic chicken I was eating within 20 seconds, Beatty told People in 2016. And the garlic chicken had been very good. Once shooting had neared completion, Beatty asked his co-star-turned-wife out to dinner. The Bonnie and Clyde star admitted that there was a moment of hesitation on Bening's part, but she thankfully ultimately agreed. Beatty went on to say that their 4 children are biggest thing that's ever happened to me, and their mother, and claimed that his family is bigger than fame. During a 2019 interview with Us Weekly, Bening discussed her nearly 3 decades of marriage with the former Hollywood heartthrob. There is no secret, as anyone who's been married knows, she said. We have an incredible family, we have beautiful children. We've been through a lot. It's the center of life. It's the most important thing. It's everything.